Adab. My name is Fayaz and welcome to Imagine Entrepreneurship, the Sagiko Village Academy podcast. Today we are going to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset. I believe in human life is supposed to be an entrepreneurial venture, and I will explain what I mean by that. And in the first edition of this series, we talked a little bit about my experience of education, and somebody commented and said, this is too vague or something, and he said you are ignorant and in some aspects, and I completely agree and accept. I have no shame in accepting that I am ignorant, and I believe everybody to one degree or the other is ignorant about how the whole universe functions. And this notion of an expert in the modern sort of paradigm, I think is a problem in many ways, and there cannot be an unqualified expertise about anything for anybody. No one person has enough experience of the world to claim that they are experts, absolutely experts of something. And ignorance and acceptance of ignorance, actually, I think, is the starting point of all scientific endeavor. So I believe that, and I very early on in my life sort of bumped into this expression, stay hungry, stay foolish, stay hungry, and which for me means always have room to accept more, always have room to eat some more, always have room to taste something new, to because there's so much variety, so much so many things in this world that one can never say that I have seen everything or know everything or done everything. So that's what life is all about. That's what life is supposed to be. And again, touching back on what I talked about in the last episode, that education is supposed to be this exploratory journey. It's supposed to be something that helps us understand our capacity and test our capacity and test our various mental, physical, psychological and emotional limits, and learn from that and push the limits and grow. And I think that's what life is essentially about. It's about growth, and growth comes through engaging with your own self and engaging with surroundings and staying open to new things and new ideas. And education, unfortunately, as I also mentioned in the last episode, the current paradigm, the system of education, where you have a set curriculum, you have set methodology, the teacher knows everything and the student doesn't know anything. It's an empty cup, and you have to fill that cup. And the teacher knows who can study, how much you can study, and how where to stop and where to start. And so it doesn't take into consideration the interests, the abilities, the values of the children. And unfortunately, we treat children as less of a human being. We're all the best creation of the universe. We're all ashraful makhlukat. So there's although we need to facilitate things for children because they cannot do everything by themselves yet, but we need to treat them as an equal person. Intellectually, emotionally and mentally they are equal. Physically they have limitations, and emotionally also they need nurturing, but they need to be treated as an equal person. If we expect them to become a full person as an adult and act responsibly, then they need to be treated like that as children, because that's when the design is taking place. When we are kids, up to age of 7, there's agreement, I think, again in cultural wisdom as well as scientific discoveries now, that up to the age of 7, the software of this creation of the universe is being written. So the programming is happening. So for those early years, we have to be extra careful with children, and we have to treat them very well and give them a safe environment and give them a nurturing environment, give them an environment that builds confidence and that helps them explore and develop self-esteem and become the miniature version of the person that we want them to become in this world. So that, and then coming back to life, human life being an entrepreneurial venture, and that's how we are designed. Again, there's agreement in cultural wisdom and scientific discoveries now that human life is a special creation. We are designed, we are meant to take forward the evolution, we are meant to solve problems, we are meant to take on challenges, we are meant to use and expand our capacities and grow bigger and bigger and bigger into a full person. Like every seed, for example, an apple seed knows how to grow into an apple sapling and then into an apple tree and give apples. So all human beings also have a fingerprint specific purpose, only if we don't distract them. Unfortunately, the parts of the educational methodology, parts of the socialization, parts of how we do parenting, and they distract us, they disable us in some ways, and we are unable to sort of align our life with our purposes, and that's what causes discomfort, and that's why most of us are living stressful lives, because we have strayed away from the real purpose of our lives. So we are discontent internally, we are not. So that's why that also manifests in many stresses and many diseases, many discomforts in our external sort of manifestation and behavior. And that, and then I think these are the things that we need to consider. It's high time that we do that, because if everything was great, then we wouldn't be living this stressful life. We wouldn't be ruining the habitat that we are supposed to, that nurtures us, the ecology. We wouldn't need to worry about ecology. Ecology would be doing well, and we would be doing well. We wouldn't see these many diseases, and we wouldn't see this much stress and chaos and violence in the world. So obviously we have strayed away, we have done something wrong. So we need to take stock of things, and we need to, again, I also wanted to make this point that this absolute expertism and absolutism is a recent phenomenon. Science is a 300-year-old baby. Cultural wisdom has a much deeper understanding of what life is supposed to be and how life should be lived, so which has been developed over millennia since the life started. So we need to pay more attention to the cultural wisdom, and of course take into account what science is learning, but science is still a baby in as against the wisdom of the cultures. So I wanted to make these points, and I wanted to encourage, because this series, this podcast is about entrepreneurship, and particularly ecological entrepreneurship, where we integrate ecological needs and resources, cultural needs and resources, human needs and resources with technology to design a regenerative lifestyle and communities. So we'll be talking more about ecological entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship in general in the upcoming episodes. So I look forward to hearing from you again. Thank you very much for engaging and tuning in. So if you find value or find these useful, please subscribe and share, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, and all the best.